Good morning and welcome to another edition of Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we are broadcasting live this morning from beautiful Cape May County, New Jersey via SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. And again, I am your host, Melanie Collette. I'm very happy to have with us as this morning's guest, Joyce Bartholomew, who is a Christian singer-songwriter is infamous on YouTube for her Christian music, particularly about being pro-life. And so I'm very excited to talk to her. We're going to talk to her about the cost of Planned Parenthood, and I'm going to play one of her songs for you as well. Her music really is just beautiful. One of the great things about doing a show about money is that money really does affect everything. So you can pretty much do a show about anything that is connected to money, quite honestly. And unfortunately, Planned Parenthood and abortion is a big business. It's a big part of our federal budget. And we're going to be talking to Joyce about that. But we're also going to be talking about how Joyce is fighting for the unborn in her own beautiful way. So I'm looking forward to having that conversation with Joyce this morning. In addition, we will have our 5 minutes of personal finance. We're going to talk about 6 steps to living on one income. So if you're a couple that's considering going to one income, or perhaps you're having kids or something like that, and mom wants to stay at home, and you're trying to figure out how to do it, we're going to talk about that in 5 minutes, a 5-minute quick and dirty lesson on how to live on one income. So we're going to talk about that too. But before we get to any of that, I don't know if anyone has heard that President Trump has been tweeting again. I don't know if that's come up. It's been a hot topic on my social media, and I suspect anyone who is active in politics and who pays attention to what's going on probably has had it active too. I voted for Donald Trump. I'm not apologetic about that. My reasons for voting for him were really to block. I will tell you, mostly because of the life situation and because of the Supreme Court. That was a big part of why I voted for him. And I'm not the only one who's in that situation where, he really wasn't our favorite, but the other person was Hillary. And we thought to ourselves, well, self, not the greatest choice, but it's not Hillary, so here we go. And if you vote for Hillary, if we let Hillary win, then that means her agenda wins. That means the leftist agenda wins, and including the fact that she doesn't believe that the unborn have rights until they're on the other side of the womb. So that was a big problem for me, and a big problem for a lot of people. So consequently, the tweets are not something that I'm really happy about, never been happy about, and not really happy about it now. Well, what's the big deal? What should I really be that upset? Should people be that upset? Now there are people who are Trump supporters who are not very upset about the tweets, who are like, go get them, fight back. We elected a fighter and you should punch back. I patently disagree with that attitude. I don't think it is. I don't think it's presidential. I don't think it's healthy for what we're trying to accomplish, and I think it's a distraction. I don't think it's if you want to settle personal beefs, then do it on your own time. But when you are tweeting, anything that is a distraction from the agenda and from what the American people voted for you for, I'm sorry, you're wrong. Your personality has nothing to do with your job. You are supposed to be doing a job. And I really don't care about your personality or what your personal proclivities are and this, that, and the other. This was clearly a personal beef that they have going on here, and you need to settle on your own time. That's how I feel about it. There were two majorly important laws that happened yesterday. One, Katie's law was passed yesterday that prevents when someone comes back across the border and violates our immigration laws, those people, you automatically get 10 years. That's an important law that was passed yesterday. It was overshadowed by the tweets. And if you're an independent or just an otherwise distracted voter, you probably didn't even hear about it, but I bet you heard about the tweets. That's what the problem is. We already know that the mainstream media is not going to be fair. We know this. We're aware of this. So, having known that,
powering off.
So since we know that, why don't we not give them any more ammo?
Powering off.
Why don't we do that? I don't understand that. And I guess where I part ways with my Republican brothers and sisters who totally love Donald Trump is that I think people think that I have an issue with what he said. I could care less about what he said. I really could. I don't care. I could not possibly care less about him talking about Mika or Joe Scarborough. What I have a problem with is we have enough information now to know that what the media is going to do with that. And we had two very important things happening yesterday in the administration, and it got overshadowed by that stupidness. That's what I have a problem with. When you stop doing your job, or when you do something that interrupts doing your job, then we have a problem. And that's exactly what happened yesterday. So, all the Trump supporters that are saying that I'm being a whiner and that I don't have a backbone and this, that, and the other, I want my president to be a professional. This is not a personality contest. It's not about his personality or about him being 70 or about him being a fighter. No, it's not about any of that. It's about the fact that you represent the most powerful office in the free world. You're literally the most powerful man in the free world. And you're acting like a child. That's what it's about. And more importantly, it overshadowed your job for a personal beef. That said, listen, check out my resume, White House. I'm totally into working for the education department. I'm kind of giving up on that dream. But because I can't keep my mouth closed about some of the stuff that I see going on in the administration. I can't. I simply can't do it. I wish I could. But I can't. So, anywho, we're headed into our first break. I'm excited to have Joyce Bartholomew with us. She's a Christian singer and songwriter who was banned from YouTube. So excited to talk about that too. But we're going to talk about the costs of Planned Parenthood and the cost of abortion. We'll be back on the other side of the break. This is Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette.
Who likes paying taxes? Nobody. That's why Eva Rosenberg from TaxMama.com wants you to pay less of them. Read Small Business Taxes Made Easy and learn how to set up a business plan that minimizes taxes, the tax benefits of different forms of financing, spot and fixed errors of the 1099s, legally increase your deductible expenses with better record-keeping techniques. Don't let the IRS squeeze you out.
I have a hard time hearing you. It's like it's a little warble.
TaxMama.com.
Okay.
TaxMama.com. That's TaxMama with 1M.com.
Is this better?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, great. Okay, great. Awesome.
Hello, I'm Ron Edwards of the next page from the Edwards Notebook. For longer than I have walked the earth, extreme leftist environmental anti-Americans have been harping about the need to clean up the environment. Yet they never, ever were in favor of our free market economy. that has provided the opportunity to allow our republic to be on the cutting edge of environmental cleanup technology. One of the most deadly practices has been the dispersal of chemtrails via chemical-outfitted dispersal aircraft. That is why it was great to learn from NBC News that President Trump fulfilled a promise to defund the chemtrail program and redirect the money toward worthy efforts like building the much-needed southern wall, road repairs, and other infrastructure needs. The president stated, and I quote, "We are not going to let scientists and other elitist eggheads tell us about how to control the environment anymore." Let us hope that Congress will support the shutdown of the chemtrail project and redirect the funds to more worthy efforts. I'm Ron Edwards.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com. Sponsored by the Tri-County Liberty Coalition.
And if you have not caught Ron Edwards' new show, you do yourself a huge favor and do so. He has a new show on SHR Media called The Ron Edwards Experience. It's on SHR, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 3 p.m. Pacific Time on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. You definitely want to check that out. Very excited about his show. He is an absolute rock star. You want to check that out for sure. And if I haven't mentioned it already, hi Katina, I want to say hi to people in the chat room. There is a chat component to Money Talk with Melanie. It's very fun, very excited. Now, there tend to be two because I stream live on Facey. We're trying to migrate everybody over to the shrmedia.com chat, but because there is a chat role there. But there are some people that are chatting in the Facebook chat, and that is fine too. If you'd like to ask Joyce a question, please do post it in the chat because she's just a very interesting and unique guest. As everyone who listens to the show regularly knows that I usually have some kind of economist on, or an author, or a politician of some sort. I believe Joyce is my first singer-songwriter that I've had on the show, so I'm very excited about that. Her micro bio. First and foremost, Joyce is a worshiper of Jesus, mother and wife, singer and songwriter. She's newly released songs, a newly released CD. I was going to say album, just dated myself. Songs from the Deep music album. The movie executive producer at Blaze Productions. Love it. She's a volunteer spokesperson and opening act for Preborn sponsorship concerts. And she gives all of the credit of her success to her Heavenly Father. Love that. All the glory to him. And so without further ado, Ms. Joyce Bartholomew, how are you this morning?
Good, Melanie. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm excited to have you on the show this morning. We have a lot to talk about.
You. I'm excited to be here. I'm so happy that you invited me.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I wanted to talk to you about several things, but first and foremost, before I get to the meat of what we need to discuss, I want to tell my audience how deep this is and why there's such controversy over defunding Planned Parenthood. We are not talking about a tiny bit of money here. We're not talking about $1 million or a couple $100,000 of the budget. We're talking $528 million, and that was in I believe 2014 of our budget that's going to Planned Parenthood. And if you believe that killing the unborn is murder, that is your money going to the murder of children. Straight up. I know it's uncomfortable to say, but that's what it is.
Yes.
Joyce, do you have something to add to that?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's, first of all, it's taxpayer funding. So it's your money, my money, people are working. So it's not even just anybody's money, it's our money. So we don't even have a say about it. If we don't agree, it's still going there. And we disagree, it's still going there. So it's even more of an outrage because, I don't want it going there and it's still going there. And It's $500 million. It's just so much money. And they only have about 665 centers across the country. And it's so much money is going there. And there's over 13,000 federally qualified health clinics and rural centers across over 13,000 centers that don't get any federal funding, that are qualified medically to do all these things for people that do non-abortion. They're non-abortion centers, and they don't get any federal funding. But Planned Parenthood does primarily only abortion. That's what they did, and that is basically what they did in 2015, 2016. They did over 300,000 abortions, and they did hardly any adoption referrals, over 2,000, and only over 9,000 prenatal services. For instance, mammograms and any kind of pap smear, all those kinds of prenatal services when you're pregnant. And so, but they did over 300,000 abortions. So this is basically what they do. They're abortion. They call themselves comprehensive women's health care, but really they're an abortion providing service.
Absolutely, that's absolutely what they are, and it's a heinous practice. And if you don't really understand what it is, back in the day we didn't have access to Google and the internet, where we didn't have access to information, but now we do. So if you are truly interested in understanding what it is that you're financing, Google it. You can get an abortion up to 24 weeks now, I believe it is.
Yes, exactly. I mean, you can find out PlannedParenthoodExposed.com on Google, and you'll find out that they even promote sex trafficking. There are girls that come in with their pimps who are sex trafficking victims who are being forced to have an abortion, and the people who are caught on tape are not protecting sex trafficking victim, but are protecting the pimp who bring the girl in, who are forcing them to have an abortion. And my heart is breaking. And I have cried over many of their videos. I cried over them.
It's so sad.
Instead of protecting the victim, instead of turning in the guy, instead of helping her. I'm just an outrage, and just my heart is breaking.
And here's the thing, and I want to repeat again for anybody who missed it, maybe tuning in late and maybe thinking to yourself, why is Money Talk with Melanie talking about abortion? What does that have to do with anything? I'm going to repeat it. $528 million of your tax money is paying for this. We don't have a choice. As Joyce just brought out, we don't get a vote. Well, we do get a vote on that when we vote for Congress and we vote for our president. We get a vote. But other than that, we don't get a vote.
Yes, we're trying to change it. We're working to try to defund Planned Parenthood. It's been a real battle, but we're trying. We're working, and we're praying to God, and through baby steps, we're moving in this direction to defund Planned Parenthood.
Absolutely.
This is what we're all working for.
Absolutely. And like I said, I know it's an uncomfortable conversation. It's not a conversation that anybody wants to have, that anybody wants to think about, that this is going on right under our noses and that you're not doing anything about it. But you do.
Yes, the reason is because it's been 44 years. It's been 1973. That's why it's culturally, people will say it's because it's been a part of the culture now, but there's only 7 countries in the entire world that this is allowed. So, and we're one of them. That includes North Korea. And my parents are South Korean immigrants. But I mean, that this is I think it's I don't know to get some of the other ones, but it includes North Korea, one of them. So I mean, there's only 7 countries that allows it. So, and we're one of them. So I mean, it's just crazy to even think I mean, it's just, culturally, it's just become accepted. Oh yeah, no big deal. It is a big deal. It's a human life.
Absolutely.
Person made in the image of God. And of course it is a big deal.
I'll piggyback off of what you're saying about the cultural aspect of this, which is, in the Black community, many of the Planned Parenthood centers are in Black communities. And Planned Parenthood was started by a woman whose goal was to exterminate brown people and people who she considered inferior.
Yes.
Okay.
It started with Margaret Sanger, as you know.
Absolutely.
She was very racist, and they all tried to hide that fact.
Exactly.
She colluded. She was hugely a part of the KKK at that time.
Exactly.
And she was really in cahoots with them about the whole elimination of she's very racist and against black people and anybody who she thought was inferior, was mentally disabled, and they did a lot of things to mentally disabled people then too, against their will.
Absolutely.
And the Planned Parenthood, they just all tried to shove that under the rug, that didn't exist or happen. Now that is a huge part of their entire existence and founding history.
And what is really bothersome, especially as an African American, is first of all that it has that history. But secondly, what you mentioned about it only being legal in 7 countries, Africa is one of the countries in which it's not legal.
Africa, right? You said Africa is not.
I mean,
yes,
not country,
exactly.
continent. It's a continent, but
I know. Isn't it ironic? I know it's ironic because they value human life. I know it's just so ironic. It's evil and it's ironic. I know.
Exactly. And yet the black people here,
because of the devaluing of the human life, of the fact that this is considered not a person. But you and I are here. We were not dismembered. We were not killed.
Exactly.
Were we not? We were not once a little person.
Exactly.
Our mother's womb.
Exactly.
We exist today because no one killed us.
Exactly. Precisely. And so when you consider that fact, I mean, that is really bothersome to me, because I'm thinking to myself, how in the world are you as a black person, you're all pro-black and blackity black this and that, and Africa this and Africa that, but you don't know that abortion is illegal in Africa. You don't understand that. Yes. And you don't understand why. You don't understand your history. Black people historically are the most conservative people to walk the earth from a cultural standpoint. Right. And yet over here, it's all twisted up, including the situation with Planned Parenthood. It's all twisted up. But if you bring that to people's attention, they'll tell you you're crazy.
Yes. That's right, because they don't know the history about it. They don't know the history because everything is always, like, the devil's really good about twisting, lying, hiding, deception.
Well,
why.
Absolutely. One of the ways he does that is to hide it between 2 truths. That's always,
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he just wants to, destroy, kill, lie, steal, all of that, right? And part of it is just the shedding of innocent blood. And, just the shedding of innocent blood. And it's one
of the things that God hates. And
it is.
I mean, it says it in the Bible very specifically that one of the things that God hates is the shedding of innocent blood. So, if you consider yourself to be a Christian, and I'm not saying that you're not, but what I'm saying is that if you are, then your stance on abortion and who you vote for is something that you need to be reevaluating. I'm sorry. It just is. Because you can't, there are people who believe that you should separate politics from religion. I don't know how you do when all throughout the Bible, I mean, how did Jesus get convicted? Who did he get convicted by?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It was the government.
Yes.
It was all involving the government. So, if you are a Christian and you think that you can somehow separate your support of abortion from your religious beliefs, or your support of a candidate who believes in that babies don't have rights until they're on the other side of the womb, I don't know how you work that out. Someone said to me online the other day, are those the only things that you care about? They were talking about my support for Donald Trump. And if you heard my open, you know that my support for Donald Trump is limited to policy. I don't like his behavior. But somebody asked me, is that all you care about is abortion and something else? I forget. But I said, tell me what's more important than life. Mm-hmm. I can't personally think of anything that's more important than life, than the lives of the innocent. And they're like, well, what about all the people who get killed doing this, that, and the other? Not innocent. I don't like that either, but they're not innocent.
Yes.
If you're not born yet, you're innocent. And you're being killed, and you're innocent. I have a problem with that. So,
Yes.
and I'm saying if you're a Christian, you should too. That's just,
yes.
that's just what I'm saying. It's
I
something,
agree.
It's something that you need to reevaluate. Now, tell us about your music and about what horrible thing you did to get banned from YouTube.
Yes. So interestingly enough, my music video, my pro-life music video, my very first song I ever wrote it's called What Was Your Name? And I put it out, and I shot the music video in Los Angeles, and then we put it out on YouTube 2015, and shortly after, it just at 32,000 views, we marketed it to a pro-life mailing list, and it went from 32,000 views to 52,000 views in like a short period of time, in 24 hours, and they banned me at 32,000 to 52,000, saying, and we didn't know why. And I knew why, because I'm a Christian, it's pro-life. And this was like 2.5 years ago, 2015. And so we went after and asking why. They wouldn't give us a reason, except they said, basically, seek our legal department. So then I had to go and get a lawyer who nobody would touch it because they were afraid of YouTube and Google. But I said, I'm not going to stand for this. As a Christian, I'm not going to back down from this. It's not right. So then I finally found a lawyer who turned out to be David Daleiden lawyer, the one who's blowing up the whole Planned Parenthood thing. Charles Lamondre is my lawyer too. I didn't know who he was, and I just prayed that God give this someone who take it. So he was the one who took it, and he took my case, and he has been fighting them for me and on my behalf, and I've been suing it for defamation because they said finally in court that I did bot activity. And I haven't done any bot activity.
Wow.
So he said, then show me what bot activity I did. And to this day, they haven't even been able to show that I have illegally paid for bot activity. But they're upset at 32,000 views. But the funny thing is I was able to remarket What Was Your Name, and now it has over 500,000 views. And some of my music videos, which I've been, with marketing that you're allowed to do, one, Fight for Our Marriage, which I stand for biblical point of marriage between a man and a woman, and it has over 7.7 million views. And, at 32,000 views, they said that I had bot activity.
Wow. Because there couldn't possibly be that many people.
I was just new on the whole circuit. This was my very first video. It was pro-life, and I'm a Christian, and I was new. It was my very first one.
Wow. And
I said I'm not going to stand for it, and they were not used to a Christian standing up. And I tell people all the time, I'm going to stand up because I said because Christians are always afraid to stand up for what God has to stand up for. This is what I tell people: stand up for your beliefs. Stand up for what God stands up for. And I said, don't be afraid, even if it costs you something.
Absolutely. And what you just said, that last part of what you just said is absolutely key, even if it costs you something, because you're going to get a blessing in the end.
Yes, exactly. It may not be in this life, it may, but it will definitely be in the life after.
Absolutely.
And even if it isn't this life, I have peace today. This is my blessing, as I have the peace of God in my heart and in my soul and in my life somehow. Even with struggles and tribulations and trials that I go through, I still feel his great peace and pleasure. I do. Absolutely.
And that is a blessing. And so
it is a huge blessing.
So if you are a
blessing that money cannot buy you.
Amen.
That is the truth.
Amen. So if you're a Christian and a taxpayer, and you are allowing and not fighting for your tax dollars to not go toward this practice, because even I went on Planned Parenthood's website this morning, to see what they had to say about what they do. And one sentence on their website really stood out to me. Most federal funding is through Medicaid reimbursements for preventive health care. And I thought to myself, really? Well, what's the rest for? And from an accounting standpoint, because as you know, this is a money show, I really am trying to figure out how you say that, okay, well, only this electricity is going toward abortion, and the nurse practitioner who's here, who gets paid, who also does preventive care but also participates in abortion, we separate out that money so it doesn't federally go to abortion, because their claim is that it doesn't go to abortion. That's their claim. But I want to know from an accounting standpoint how they work that out.
Yes, and I highly doubt that can be proven. And if we went and asked for proof, I don't think it would be very difficult for them to really prove that. Honestly, I really think so.
Exactly.
It would be very hard for them to prove that.
And if they are doing so few abortions, why not have a separate entity that does abortions and have another one that just does preventive care? If most of what you do is preventive care, then you should be able to have very few abortion clinics that are specifically abortion clinics. In my mind, it shouldn't be that much cost to it. And then the American people would not have anything to say about, whether or not we're funding abortions. The lines would be crystal clear.
Right, exactly. Make it obvious that this is an abortion clinic and that your money is going here, and people know that it's going here. And if people are choosing to go there, like if people choose to give it something, but they should be allowed, people are objecting that they don't want to support that, but we're being forced to support it. That is the number one objection.
Exactly.
Most people don't want to support it, but we are forced to support it. That's why we're asking to defund it, not because they're saying, fine, you want to have your abortion, don't force the other people, which are a very large percentage, that don't want to support it.
Absolutely.
And then we're saying, and we want to support the other centers, the over 13,000 centers that don't get any federal funding, and also pregnancy care centers that also do prenatal services that are like 2,400 centers across the country that are begging for federal funding too.
Yeah, why aren't they getting
Christian
any?
Centers as well.
Can we spread the wealth around? Can we spread
exactly.
that to
they're
them?
Christian, so they feel that they're being banned in some way or discriminated against because they're Christian. I think they feel that way very strongly.
And of course they are, and they would be absolutely right. They would be absolutely right. The leftist agenda, as it stands now, is completely anti-Christian, which is part of the reason why we have a President Donald Trump, in my estimation, because it was not the greatest candidate, but Hillary.
Oh yeah, well she did her spirit cooking. She went to her spirit cooking events. John Podesta invited her to the spirit cooking things, and I was just freaked out by that alone. You looked into that?
Oh my gosh!
A lot of people went into that, and it's very, very demonic and real. A lot of people were doing those things. Exactly. And it's very, very serious. The spiritual aspect of what's going on here. And so no one is saying Donald Trump is perfect, and nobody is perfect anyway. Neither am I. So we're not saying that, and I'm not saying anyone's perfect here, and I'm not saying everyone's morally righteous all the time or anything like that.
Absolutely.
I am grateful for someone standing up for the unborn.
Absolutely. And
I am behind that.
When we're up against the break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what the Trump administration has done in that regard and what there is left to do. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we have Joyce Bartholomew on this morning, who is a Christian singer and songwriter who is fighting for the unborn. Absolutely love her. We will be back in a few minutes.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. If you're listening to The Exceptional Conservative, you must like liberty and free market principles, which means you'll love Freedom Fest. Freedom Fest is a large liberty-minded conference at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas from July 19th to the 22nd. Hear the giants in the liberty movement speak on politics, public policy, the economy, and much more. Join your friends from The Exceptional Conservative and register now at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code TECN.
From the war front to the streets of our nation's capital, men of faith, Dr. Michael Jones, the underground professor, and Kenneth McClinton, the exceptional conservative, bring both constitutional gravitas and spiritual perspective on today's issues. to the most influential Christian urban talk show, 9:05 p.m. Eastern, Thursdays. It's a new day on New Day, Black and Red.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcast. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Times are dark. The people are misled by corrupt politicians, lied to by establishment media, and deceived by the false messages of Islam. A nation looking for direction needs a guide. It needs a man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker, SHR Media, Pundit Press Radio, and YouTube through the SHR Media page for a different kind of commentary on the unpleasant blind guy. Because the truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Mim from Freedom Fest, the world's largest gathering of free minds. Join your friends from SHR Media at the beautiful Paris Resort in Las Vegas, Nevada, July 19th through the 22nd for 3 amazing days of liberty-oriented discussion, investment advice, and the Anthem Film Festival. It's our big 10th anniversary, featuring keynote speaker William Shatner and Freedom Fest favorites, including Steve Forbes, Jim Rogers, Lee Edwards, David Boaz, Doug Casey, Dinesh D'Souza, John Stossel, Lisa Kennedy, Grover Norquist, Peter Schiff, and many more. Don't miss out. Register at freedomfest.com for $100 off the regular registration rate when you use the all-caps code SHR Media.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad. Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Good morning. We are back. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie. This is your business diva, Melanie Collette, and we have with us this morning Joyce Bartholomew, who is a Christian singer and songwriter, and has the unique distinction of having been banned from YouTube for her music. Just amazing to me that she's been banned for her music on YouTube, but you have such absolute trash that is on YouTube, all day, every day. That I just find to be absolutely incredible. That's a problem for them.
Yes, you can find everything pornographic and you can find anything out there. But then when it comes to Christian, and it's particularly Christian and pro-life, there's clearly discriminatory, and the thing with Google and YouTube, which is what my lawyer said, is they are claiming that they are an impartial entity.
Wow.
That's what they're claiming.
Wow. Really? They're impartial?
Yes, they're claiming. Yes, some people said, they're a private organization. No, they're claiming that they're just like a medium that all people can just have free speech and come on. That's what they're claiming, like a platform.
All people except Christians who are pro-life.
Yeah, they're just like a news platform. as we know, the MSM and CNN, they're all fake news and they're all biased, right? But that's what they were claiming, Google, that they were just a free platform that was just impartial. They're claiming.
Okay, they're clearly not partial when they're accusing you of having bots with absolutely no evidence. You know, there are ways to detect whether or not someone's using a bot, and I'm sure that you know what they are. I'm sure that your lawyer knows what they are, and I'm sure you were able to prove that that's not the case.
Yes, exactly. And 2.5 years later, they still haven't proven to my lawyer in court at all that I have any bot activity. To me, that would have been the first thing you would have done.
Absolutely.
In a court of law 2.5 years ago.
Powering off.
Rid of the lawsuit because there's no bot activity. But they still are going through and fighting and you know, we're just continuing to, and they're quite upset because it's been 2.5 years. I think they thought that I was going to go away. And I'm not going to go away because you just can't make up stories about Christian people and say whatever you want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And good for you. And that's absolutely what they counted on, is that you were just going to go away.
Exactly. And they can just make up lies, as they always do, about everybody, especially Christians, and say whatever they want and think that it's okay. And it's not okay because nobody believes them anymore anyway, especially as we've seen. Absolutely.
And this is why, you know, it's so important to have people like you, people in the Christian community, stand up. So, you know, stand up against these things. And, you know, this is why it was difficult for me to decide who to vote for, whether or not to vote for, except when it came to this issue. And I thought to myself, you know, how am I going to not vote for Donald Trump if it could possibly prevent one baby from getting killed?
Absolutely. Because Hillary, when they asked her, are you saying it's okay to abort a child up until the 9th month, right before they're going to be delivered? And she said, absolutely.
Right.
That's what she said. She said, yes, it's okay. And she had no qualms about saying that. Like, right before they were going to be born. That's what she said. Absolutely, no problem.
And she backed that up with her vote as a senator, because she voted against a late-term abortion ban. So we know that she was serious about her pro-abortion stance.
Yes, and she became a representative for Planned Parenthood. At one point, they used her as their spokesperson or something.
Oh, and winner of the Margaret Sanger Award, who she said is her hero, Margaret Sanger.
Yes, which is disgusting that she would call her Margaret Sanger her hero.
Absolutely. Absolutely disgusting. So all of those things being considered, you know, when people are like, oh, how could you vote for him? His personality, this, that, and the other. I say, how could I not?
Yes, I agree. I said the same thing. I said all those things you said, and then her spirit cooking.
Oh, gosh.
Cultic practices.
Horrific. And if you don't know what spirit cooking is, Google it. Go to Professor Google and find out what it is. It's a disgusting, heinous practice.
It's an occultic practice.
Absolutely.
It's an occultic practice.
Absolutely.
And they eat, like, brain.
Yes.
Like animal brain or something. It's raw brain.
Absolutely. It's disgusting. So before I let you go, please tell the audience where they can listen to your beautiful music, since YouTube has been,
It's back on YouTube.
Is it back up? Good.
They allowed me to remarket it. So it does now have over 500,000 views. So you can find me on YouTube. You can just Google Joyce M. Bartholomew, and you can look up Songs from the Deep, and you can find all my songs there. Joyce M. Bartholomew, Songs from the Deep, or Joyce M. Bartholomew, What Was Your Name? And you can find me that way. Or you can go to my artist page, www.joycembartholomew.com. And that's the easiest way to find me.
And her artist page is beautiful. So well done. I don't know who did your website, but it's gorgeous.
Oh, thank you, Roman Yaquez. He's my social media manager and friend.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. It's absolutely gorgeous. So make sure you check out Joyce M. Bartholomew. Her music is beautiful. She is standing up for the rights of the unborn, which more of us need to do, particularly if we are calling ourselves Christians, quite frankly. We need to do that. We need to do some soul searching is all I'm asking. I'm not being judgmental here. What I'm saying to you is, if you haven't thought about it, think about it. We need to do some soul searching in this area.
I agree.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to go into our 5 minutes of personal finance. I want to thank you so much for being on the show today, and I hope to have you back for updates as well.
Oh, I would love to. I'd love to. Hopefully video too.
Absolutely. Yeah, by then we'll be doing video for sure. Thank you so much.
Great.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thank you. You too. God bless you so much.
God bless you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. How fantastic was Joyce Bartholomew? She was just great. Loved having her on the show. A little something different for Money Talk with Melanie, but you know, abortion is just such a huge industry. Again, if you're just catching the show, $528 million goes to Planned Parenthood, and that's why those of us who are conservatives are working hard to get it defunded. If you don't want your money going toward this heinous practice, that is abortion. So, without further ado, we are now going to discuss our 5 minutes of personal finance, which today is how to live on a single income. There are 6 steps that you can take to live on a single income. Now, you know, these days, in this day and age, and I sound like an old person, but it's true, oftentimes it takes 2 incomes for a couple to make it, particularly if they have kids. But, you know, for those of us who believe that it's better for a mom to stay at home, or for one parent at least to stay at home, but I think it's better to have mom stay at home. I'm just traditional that way. And sometimes you need to go down to 1 income, and it's hard to do if you were a dink, a double income, no kids, and now you're going to an income, to 1 income to take care of everybody. So what are the 6 steps that you can possibly take in order to make this happen? First of all, first step is knowing what you're dealing with, right? So this may be common sense, but write down all your expenses. Check it out. Check out what your cost of living is. There's a lot of things that you tend to miss going out, especially if you're going from not having kids to having kids. If you don't have kids, chances are you go out a lot. You know, a lot of disposable income gets wasted. A lot of Starbucks and this, that, and the other. A lot of going out to dinner, hanging out, and basically just having fun. But you want to take a look at where you're spending your money combined. You know, going out with the boys on Friday. She may be having girls' nights every other weekend. You know, check out all those expenses. Write them all down. And of course, you know, those are the disposable income expenses. But you want to write down your insurance, your medical expenses, what you spend on clothes and transportation, all of those things. Write it all down. The second thing you want to do is make sure you give yourself an allowance, no matter how small. The thing is, if you don't give yourself some type of allowance, some type of way to spend some kind of money, you're going to overspend. And it's going to feel like a lot more of a trial if you don't give yourself some type of allowance. So make sure that you do that. Open a joint bank account so that both incomes are transferred in at first. Do an automated transfer to one income into a savings account. Okay, so one of your incomes is going to go into a savings account. The other is going to stay in the joint account. Then you want to set up an automated transfer of joint living costs into an everyday checking account. Make sure you get a checking account that doesn't charge you for every little thing. You want to be careful about that. Here's the final thing, number 5, micromanage your money for extra savings. Really micromanage it. Every little dollar counts, seriously. It may sound crazy, but it can be done. Micromanage your money. Pay attention to every little expense, every little dollar, because after a while, it adds up. I discovered that I was spending, I don't know, some ridiculous number like $25 a month on Wawa coffee. That adds up. That's a lot of money when you think about it for just coffee. So, and if the two of you are doing it, now you're talking about $50 a month. So if you want to go down to one income, those are some tips on how to do it. I'm going to pin an article that talks more specifically about this to my Pinterest page. My Money Talk with Melanie Pinterest page is the show page. You can take a look at some details on that. It's actually a fantastic article that I read on that. Make sure you take a look at it. You're listening to Money Talk with Melanie, and we're going to be back in one moment.
Chicana Ranch is involved in helping youth through the snags along the pathway to adulthood. The last 8 years have created greater challenges. Having a president to parade perversion to our youth has generated the need for us to ramp up our character learning 100-fold. Today's youth are confused, and our goal is to give them a fresh understanding of creation, moral clarity, respect for authority, in short, restore absolutes and boundaries. Boys are born boys and girls are born girls, God's design. Right is right even when no one else is doing it. The Exceptional Conservative Network is underway to raise $10,000 to help advance this mission. Together, let's reverse the confusion aimed at our youth. Don't be a spectator. Go to our donation portal and make your financial contribution now. Your gift goes toward helping youth get clarity, moral clarity. Thank you.
Pastor Larkin is going to be on Money Talk with Melanie next week. I'm so excited to have him on the show. As you can tell from his promo of Chicana Ranch, he's a very direct communicator. So it should be an exciting show. I want to thank everybody in the chat. I want to thank Joyce Bartholomew for being my guest today. Remember, all of this is very important because it's your money.